My stepfather always said I'd never survive without him. So, imagine his face when the police knocked on his door, holding evidence I spent 6 years collecting. Because the quiet little girl he bullied? Yeah, she grew up. And I didn't forget anything. If you've ever dealt with someone who abused their power, lied, or treated you like you didn't matter, hit like, subscribe, and settle in. Because today's revenge story is one of the slowest, coldest, most satisfying payoffs you'll ever hear. Let's get into it. When my mom married Daniel, I was 12. At first, he played the perfect stepfather. Big smiles, loud jokes, expensive dinners we couldn't afford. But the moment the wedding photos came down from the living room wall,
so did the mask.
It started small. Little comments. You eat too much. You're too sensitive. No wonder your real dad left. At 12, words like that don't just hurt. They plant roots. I remember sitting at the kitchen table doing homework, gripping my pencils so hard my fingers hurt while he stood behind me reading my math answers out loud and laughing.
Seminos? Wow.
We're raising a genius. Mom would just whisper, Daniel, please, but she never stopped him. And Daniel knew I'd be by the time I turned 14, it wasn't just words. Daniel controlled everything. My phone? Checked nightly. My allowance? Gone. Family expenses. My bedroom door? Had to stay open.
He called it discipline.
But discipline doesn't feel like walking on broken glass inside your own home. The worst part? Nobody outside saw it. To neighbors, Daniel was the helpful guy fixing fences. At church, he shook hands and donated money. At home, he kept a notebook. Every mistake I made went into it. Missed chore. Late from school. Grade below B. Punishments followed. No birthday party at 15. No school trip at 16. And when I got accepted into a summer science program, he tore the acceptance letter in half. Waste of money. You're staying here. I still remember the sound of the paper ripping. Not loud, but it felt like something inside my chest tearing with it. The night everything changed, I was 17. I overheard Daniel talking on the phone. Once she turns 18, the child support stops. And legally, the house is mine through my wife. Clean transfer. I froze in the hallway. House is mine. That house wasn't his. It belonged to my late grandfather. Left to my mother, and eventually to me. That was the first time I realized. This wasn't just control. He was planning to take everything. And suddenly, I wasn't scared anymore. I was awake. Now I will tell you turning point. The decision. That night, lying in bed staring at the ceiling, something shifted. I couldn't fight him with shouting. I couldn't fight him with tears. So, I made a different choice. I'd fight him with patience. And proof. From that moment on, I became the quietest version of myself he'd ever seen. I stopped arguing. Stopped reacting. Started watching. Listening. Recording. Old phone hidden in my backpack. Voice recorder always on. Photos of his notebook punishments. Screenshots of messages where he threatened to kick me out the second I turned 18. Copies of financial documents he left on the desk. And the biggest one, I discovered Daniel had secretly taken loans in my mother's name. Huge ones. He thought nobody checked the mail carefully. He thought nobody noticed the bank logos. But I did. Every document. Every recording. Every lie. 6 years. College.
Part-time jobs.
Independence. I never confronted him. Never warned him. Because the best revenge isn't loud. It's timed. AT-23. I finally made the call. Not to him. To a lawyer. When the lawyer finished reviewing everything, she leaned back and said 5 words I'll never forget. This is more than enough.
Fraud.
Identity theft. Financial abuse. Coercive control. Multiple charges. Multiple agencies involved. We built the case quietly for 3 months. And then, we waited for the perfect day. Daniel loved attention. So naturally, he threw himself a huge birthday barbecue. Neighbors. Coworkers. Family friends. I showed up too. First time he'd seen me in almost a year. He smirked when I walked in. Well, look who finally remembered her family. I just smiled.
Yeah.
I brought you something. Right on cue, two police cars pulled up outside. The music stopped. Conversations died. An officer stepped into the yard and asked, "Daniel Harris?" For the first time in my life, I watched him look small,
Confused.
laughing nervously. This must be a mistake. It's not, I said quietly, and handed the officer the final evidence folder. The same kind of folder he used to keep my mistakes in. Funny how life works. They arrested him right there, in front of everyone he'd spent years impressing. No shouting from me, no dramatic speech. Just one sentence as they led him past. "You should have treated the quiet kid better." His face? I'll never forget it. Not anger, not even hatred, just pure disbelief. Like it never occurred to him that actions have expiration dates. Here's the thing about power. Some people think being louder means being stronger. But real strength? Sometimes it's surviving quietly long enough to tell the truth at the exact right moment. If this story gave you chills, hit like and drop a comment. Do you believe revenge should be loud or patient? And don't forget to subscribe, because the next story might be even more shocking. See you in the next one.